All right. Much peace once again to everybody out here. Soundray coming through with another video, views from an Australian perspective. Info, which is not so common. Now today I'll be talking about a gentleman named Yagan. Uh, Before I start, I'd like to just acknowledge the original traditional custodians of this land that we are on, known as Australia, and also a warning that there will be some images of deceased Indigenous people to those out there. Apologies for the screen there, but hopefully everybody's doing well out there. Just double check this is going all right, coming through. But it should be fine. It's fine anyway. So basically, here I'll talk about so his gentleman they called Yagan goes by the name great Indigenous warrior, freedom fighter, like rebellious against the British colonists that came to bring their form of civilization here. So without further ado, I'll go into a bit of a reading about him, but just it won't be too long, and then I'll plan to do an open panel if anyone's out there that's keen. So, born around 1795, Yagan was the son of Midgety Midgetigur. Yeah, Midgetigur, an influential Noongar elder in the area south of Perth. After a young boy was shot near the homestead owned by Archibald Butler, the Noongar man retaliated by spearing one of his servants, labourer William Gaze. Yagan was captured and sentenced for Gaze's murder in 1832, spending 6 weeks detained on Karnak Island before escaping. Despite having no knowledge of boats, Yagan and two others managed to steal one and steer it 13 kilometres back to shore. After his return, he eluded capture for another year and became a well-known figure in the Perth colony. Robert Lyon, a minister who studied the local Indigenous people and pleaded to save Yagan from the death penalty, described him as the Wallace of the age. Obviously, that's referring to William Wallace of the movie Braveheart, for those familiar. Yagan in the Perth Gazette. Yagan was killed in an ambush by brothers William and James Keats in 1833, and his head was taken to England, where it was kept in the Liverpool Museum. His remains were finally repatriated and buried in 1997. A new development in Perth is being named Yagan Square to honour him. Now, and then now you've got there's a statue of some sort of its man. This is how a strong, athletic man with this fight with this spear, natural. Now, an interesting sentence that was here so this is in the time of 1833. He was shot by two brothers who were just probably most likely common men, but as in yesterday's upload of Pemulwuy, Yagan's head was also decapitated and sent back to England, and it took up to like 140 odd years to finally get his remains back, so that his surviving generation people may be able to put him to rest. So that's just there's a bit of a perspective of the thought and the mindset that was around that was, of this British colony of the time, and the uh, early 19th century and 18th century when they came. So I'll just read a bit further into him, right? So there'll be some similar comments, but it'll continue on. So Yagan was born in 1795 and died sometime in 1833. He was a Noongar leader and resistance fighter during the early years of the Swan River colony. In the conflict that ensued, Yagan was both feared and admired by Europeans as a patriot fighting for his land. In today's Noongar community, Yagan is an iconic figure in the fight for Noongar's rights and recognition. The reburial of Yagan's head was celebrated on the 10th of July 2010. So as I could just see there, he came back in 1997 after he was killed in 1833, but not until 2010 were they able to have a ceremony and put him to rest, or in some certain manner. So Yagan was a Whadjuk Noongar man. He gained notoriety for his courage and daring resistance in the European settlement of Noongar land, which is basically up in all the western regions of Australia, the west coast. So his father was Midgiri Mijiguru, right? Another influential Noongar elder often mentioned in the Perth Gazette. This is the newspaper of the time. Yagan had three brothers, Narelle, Billy, and Willem. Midgirigu had more than one wife, and Yagan's mother had been an older woman whose name is not known. Between 1831 and 1833, Yagan appeared regularly in the Perth Gazette, the popular newspaper of the time. I'll show you some journals later, and published in journals and extracts of the Advocate General George Fletcher Moore. So this is what he is writing. Tall and imposing, Yagan had a distinctive tribal marking on his right shoulder and down his back. He wore a soldier's old coat under his kangaroo cloak to hide this mark, to avoid recognition by settlers. Yagan had a small black dog which walked with him everywhere. Early settler portrayals of Yagan registered dual attitudes towards the Noongar people. He was described positively as the daring chief of the tribe, but also criticized as the daring villain we have to frequently had occasion to notice. Hallam and Tilbrook write, Europeans clearly recognized Yagan's considerable personal charisma despite, or perhaps because of his refusal to acknowledge the legitimacy of white power. So early encounters. Criticisms of Noongar people often reflected a poor or non-existent understanding of Noongar law. Noongars who were stealing in quotation marks, for example, livestock and other food sources, were engaging in what they saw as a system of reciprocation. The following series of events led to Yagan becoming an outlaw. So basically, with that, I take that as just the same sense of most the natives of America. They didn't have the sense of ownership of the land, so these people are coming into this land, using up the prime spots, bringing all these foreign animals and things like this, and taking advantage while taking the prime spots of these peoples. So they thought it was something of reciprocation, that they've taken our space of where we would hunt, where we would find our food. We are hungry now. Then spearing, we'll spear a sheep. That they had no idea. It was a completely foreign animal to them. But then the colonialists found that as a complete criminal act, and these many uh, indigenous suffered from horrific outcomes and circumstances. And I'll continue anyway. So in 1831, Smedley, a servant of homesteader Archibald Butler, who shot a group of Noongar people caught harvesting potatoes and fowls and killed one of them in retaliation. Yagan and Mijaguru speared another of Butler's servants. So basically, that was the reason again, like, well, okay, to service to the settlers, this act was seen as an unlawful killing of an innocent man, but to the Noongar people, tribal law required that a member of Smedley's family group also be killed, because basically that traditional Aboriginal law or Indigenous law, the Noongar law would be that if a person of their tribe was taken, well, it the act of a person from the other tribe must be taken. So in June 1832, Yagan speared William Gaze, who was labouring along the Canning River. Yagan may not have intended to kill Gaze, and his death may have been in part due to other factors. Nevertheless, Yagan was declared an outlaw. A bounty of £20 was placed on his head. So that's £20, and it was said. So, and now Yagan's death. Yagan eluded capture when he was shot by two young shepherd boys on the Upper Swan, the river. That is a river. Yagan was walking with a group of Noongar Marmen, including Hegan. Then they met up with his brothers, William and James Keats, whom they knew. Waiting for the opportune moment, the older brother William took aim and shot at Yagan. When Hagan sprang to his feet, Jack killed him. In the ensuing fight, William Keats was also killed. His brother later collected the reward for winning England. Well, I don't know if I didn't read that very well, but that was some pretty shocking but not surprising news. So basically these gentlemen went out to get this bounty, and they just snuck up on them and like prey and tricked them and just shot these men unarmed. It's just disgusting. But anyway, obviously you can see it and you can read it. There's many more stories of such situations, but Yagan's head, brutally hacked from his body, was wedged into a hollow tree stump and slowly preserved in the smoke of gum leaves. Obviously, a trick they had learned from the indigenous people about preserving, but they unfortunately used that in the situation of preserving his decapitated head because they wanted the reward. Anyway, so who was the savage in that situation? I ask. After several months, the lank hair was combed, a band of possum fur string was wrapped around the forehead, and a pair of red and black cockatoo feathers added for effect. The head was taken to England aboard the Cornwallis in September 1833 to be held at the museum in Liverpool. Wow, this is just amazing information. I'm reading this and getting quite uh, caught up within it. So Yagan's death had a negative impact on the Swan and Canning River Noongar groups. Without Yagan's strong personality, Noongar elders Yella Gonga and Munde's influence was greatly reduced after 1833. So Yagan's legacy, finally. Yagan remains a significant and legendary figure to the Noongar people. He is a symbol of resistance to the European colonization of country and culture. On the 1st September 1997, a delegation of elders brought Yagan's head back to Noongar country. Hannah McGlade wrote, "Old Noongar men are singing and the clapping sticks can be heard throughout Perth International Airport late in the night." Reactions to the reparation were varied and included racist remarks from the wider media, as well as the vandalism of the statue of Yagan on Harrison Island. Now, 177 years after his death, Yagan's head had been reburied in a memorial park in the Swan Valley. The Department of Indigenous Affairs granted the city of Swan over $500,000 to develop the Yagan Memorial Park to honor the Noongar activist. The reburial was well attended by the Noongar community and included traditional dancing and a smoking ceremony to purify the area and ward off bad spirits, which is a traditional thing always done. Richard Wilkes stated, "It is a very important because I believe that spirituality, once we rebury Yagan's head into the ground, then his spirit will become one again, and the spirit of Yagan will rise up in and amongst us." In the Yagan Memorial Park newsletter, he wrote that, or quoted it. Noongar elder Ken Colbung, RIP, the 66-year-old descendant of Yagan, who was instrumental in finding the head and having it exhumed, said, "The spirit of Yagan would now be able to join the continuum and could perhaps live on in a new body. His fighting spirit and stance against injustice should be at least live on, or should at least The spirit of Yagan would now be able to join the continuum and could perhaps live on in a new body. His fighting spirit and stance against injustice should at a similar test. Well, just say what he looked like. Unfortunately, that's probably some caricature of the head, which was decapitated head, which was sent. Another one here, the bronze statue, or not a bronze, a sort of some sort of metallic statue. You know, holding the spear, just living the traditional land. This sketch here is probably the most lifelike. You could just see what he would be looking like. So yeah, that's Yagan, the a great Aboriginal warrior of the Noongar tribe, resisting against the British colonial invasion, some may say. But another fact I'll just be adding to here, and then I'll open up the panel, go back to the StreamYard thing. And peace to everybody who is here. I hope everyone is coming through clear and it is working. Thanks, appreciate it. I'll be with there soon. So just the attitudes that of the time in 1833, I wanted to show. So what I did, I just Googled 1833 Perth Gazette. So this is the 7th of September in 1833, the Perth Gazette. This is the Western Australian newspaper of the time. And just to show their attitude, like in a slight way. So as they were saying that he appeared in the Perth Gazette many times, I'm sure it wasn't for front page publicity. It was the fact that he had, these guys who were caught during supposed criminal acts and things like this, they were tried, and that's why they made the newspaper. But here it says, this is during one of the court hearings, the Lieutenant Governor first inquired whether they came for themselves or as the representatives of the tribe, which question was not directly answered, because basically they came with there was a fight amongst a group of Indigenous and these people. So did they come representative of the tribe, or did they come for themselves? Which answer was not direct. Probably for the not comprehending um, to an amicable treaty with us, to see if they could at least understand the humanity of it. They did recognize that, this is the part that kind of gets me, because up until the foreign Indigenous people recognize, like, oh, you can read, you can very, I could realize that they wanted a peaceful, Bennett was asking him, did they come alone? Or, they were just, as police do nowadays, try to the prosecution, try to get people to self-incriminate themselves by the words they talk, even though they could not answer that question. They were able to get it that they wanted. You guys going to direct uh, there was no problem. There was no okay, so it just played up for a little while. Obviously, again, the internet was just playing up. So thankfully, the stream did go through. There was just a small instance of a stoppage there. So I've only been going for 20 minutes. So that's you know another little quick impromptu presentation of info which is not so common. Um, so I mean, yeah. If any, I'll just wait around for a while. I'll do my own traditional smoking ceremony to clear all the bad spirits. So I'll wait and check if any, you know, folks may want to drop up. Anybody, welcome up. Have your word heard, but most welcome to just listen. You hit the like on the way through, share, subscribe. Just because I'll be just continually doing content. Well, especially this, keep up with, continue with showing more of these instances, more heroes like this, um, and along with music. So here we go. If you're out there and you're listening, you got that bless. You can hear that. Let's get it. Number two. It's always three in a row, though, no matter how crying. It don't matter, man. Shit. But, yeah. Well, surprised no one's popped through. Like, had a bit of a, obviously, the connection has been a bit whack. Um, uh, I'm back. Well, this has been a very tedious effort. But I guess learning the hard way, learning through. I'll just as they say, learning the hard way. But where we at? We're about half an hour, so yeah. So, well, I just hope that the beginning presentation did come through okay, and people get some knowledge out of this. Um, please do hit the like, subscribe, share, comment. You know, um, much peace. Apologies for the quality of this stream. This was obviously not the best. It had a few technical difficulties as again, but hey, I've just got to keep learning trial by fire. I guess it's the way of my life. Um, so yeah, but in that sense, man, keeping it positive. As I always say, look inside yourself, find your direction, and follow that path. Follow your intuition. Be the best you can be. Know yourself, man. Respect those that respect you, and link with like-minded folks, man. Link with like-minded people. Link with like minds. So my shout out and peace to all the people who are listening, and just all shout out to the folks of the online community that uh, you know allow the opportunity to get up and share ideas on panels and things like that. So we've got to keep doing it, but also keep the content progressing, man. So much peace. I'll upload some new things pretty soon. So you guys sort of take care, y'all, and be high grade all day, every day. And you know.